Hey, hello everyone. I am back once again. This is Marvin Smith, and I came to talk about the topic tonight is for a few minutes called tax strategies and wealth building. And the reason why I'm inspired to do this um, is because what I realize is that one of the things with tax, being a tax preparer or dealing with taxes and dealing with people, what I realize that it can take a lot out of you. One, you have to be patient and stuff like that. So the reason why I want to mention tax strategies, um, and wealth building is a mindset, right? A wealth planning. So wealth planning is a mindset, and wealth planning is the abundance, having an abundance mindset. Um, so the have and the have nots. The haves majority of the time have the abundance mindset and the wealth planning lifestyle. So what I mean is that I think one of the main things that separates people is not the information first, but it's the lack of desire to get the knowledge. I say once again, what separates people and individuals are one, the mindset, your ideology and philosophy about life, and your lessons and teachings when it came to life, into which you adopt as a person, going from a child to a teenager into adulthood. So what I see in what I see, this is a stressful time. So what I mean by that is that when it comes to dealing with people and dealing with taxes, majority most people is not a subject that they are either comfortable with talking about or they just don't care. But then there are many that do care and understand that one of the ways to live well and be well is understanding three things. But these are not the more, these are three things which is part of life. Live well and be well. Or, or understanding that, and I've talked about this many times, but understanding finances, and the two main part about understanding finances, which is part of it, is credit and taxes. And many people walk into my office, and as I prepare tax returns, um, many people, what I realized when I mentioned to a lot of people about making estimated quarterly tax payments, and it's kind of strange to them when I speak it to them, because what I realize is there's different levels in life, and life involves different levels of people. And as long as you have people, there's a level of where they're at as far as the education, the knowledge, and their perception of life. And what I realized that these last couple of years of doing tax returns or even talking about finances, first I have to start with myself and build myself up financially and understand that there are people who give out great financial advice. However, their bank account and their lifestyle don't reflect what they're saying. I say it once again. There are all type of teachers. There are teachers who lifestyle reflect what they speak, and there are teachers who lifestyle what they teach is not a reflection of their lifestyle. I'll say it again. Everyone's a teacher and everyone's a lesson. Now, You can learn the lesson and not be the lesson. But those who lack the knowledge, they don't want to get the lesson. They reject the lesson, so they become the lesson. Those who seek knowledge will learn the lesson and be what? A manifestation of the lesson that they learn. So these days are important when it comes to mindset. And mindset plays a very big role in the makeup of a person. So the reason why I said tax strategies, and what does that really mean? It's a strategy in regards to taxes. Again, it's a strategy which involves a plan in regards to taxes. So what does that mean? Everyone comes for the difference between a tax strategy and a tax preparation. Now, a tax preparation for an individual who gets a W-2 from their job is technically from January up to September, to October, I'm sorry. So what does that mean? You get your W-2 by January 31st, you come in and file, and you have up to April 15th. If you don't file April 15th, then you do what they call a 6 month extension from April 15th all the way up to October 15th, right? That's a tax preparation. Then if you own a business, depending on what type of business you are, if you are S corporation or a partnership, an LLC multi-member. So an LLC multi-member is a partnership. Again, if you have a general partnership, which is a multi-member LLC, and you have an S corporation, and the maximum shareholders for an S corporation is 100. Now, as I mentioned before, so for S corporation and a multi-member, which is either is a general partnership LLC, tax return is due on March 15th. You can go all the way up to September if you file an extension, which takes you up to September 15th. If you are a single member LLC or a sole proprietor operating off two things, either your social security number or a tax ID number. And as a single member LLC, which means you're the sole owner, your tax return is due by April 15th, can go up to October 15th for both. So that's a tax preparation, which is preparing you to file your tax return when you receive the necessary documents. For those who work, that would be what they call a W-2, which you get from your employer, which is your job. Those who work as independent contractors, which means you get either a 1099 miscellaneous or a 1099 NEC from the person who outsourced the work to you, or you work as a consultant. So you would get a 1099 by January 31st. And you would use that to file on, you have up to April 15th. And you can also file an extension that will take you up to October 15th. So an independent contractor, and let's say a lot of people have a W-2 job, yet they work on the side where they work as a contractor based on their profession. You could be a bookkeeper in an office and you get a W-2. However, after 9 to 5, you do bookkeeping consulting work or bookkeeping as a contractor for either a CPA firm or accounting firm or bookkeeping firm, or you go out on your own and you create your own business, right? You could be a consultant who works in a consulting company full-time as a W-2 employee, but you work outside of that after you get off work. You created your own business. You can work as an individual as a consultant. You still get a 1099. You can work as a bit. You can create a consulting business that you created outside of work. So the reason why I mention these things is, what is a tax strategy? A tax strategy is totally different. A tax strategy, when you sit down and come up with a strategy, and this strategy is something that you're going to execute that's going to allow you to use the tax laws, which are the tax codes, which is equivalent to the IRS, using the tax codes and the tax laws to legally reduce your taxes. I say it once again. You will use the IRS, you will use the tax laws and the tax codes to legally reduce your taxes. If anyone said that you can legally, and by the IRS tax codes, pay no taxes, then you should run. The IRS tax codes and tax laws, it allows you legally to apply them. It allows you legally to reduce your taxes. It allows you legally to zero out. It allows you legally to defer capital gains. So a tax strategy, which is a plan that you will sit down with what? Not your tax preparer sometimes, most of the time. A lot of times a tax strategy is not your accountant or CPA. Your tax strategist is what they call a tax professional. And the main focus is coming up with a strategy that will, by the IRS tax codes, as I mentioned the other night, Section 162, which talk about the ordinary and necessary expense, which gives you legally what you can write off as a business owner and a 1099 contractor, and those who are self-employed. So what a tax strategist is coming up with a strategy to legally, by the IRS tax codes and tax laws, legally to reduce your taxes and to come up with a strategy that can save you on your taxes. However, I realize that most people treat taxes as if like the dentist. How many people go to the dentist for a routine yearly checkup besides cleaning? How many people go to the dentist every year besides a cleaning but get a routine checkup, checking for cavities, checking for if you have bleeding of the gums, bad breath? How many people maintenance their mouth? That's a better word. How many people go to the dentist to get maintenance their mouth? How many people look after their mouth and their teeth by going to the dentist every year, not just for cleaning, but for x-rays, to look out for cavities, if you have bleeding of the gums, if you have bad breath? How many of you out there go to the dentist? So the reason why I use that, because only time people go to the dentist is when they have what? Either an emergency or there's a problem. But you can prevent these things by doing what? By being diligent and being disciplined and going to the dentist every year. Not just the dentist, but going to your doctor every year. How many of you do that? So when I think of tax strategy, the only time you see people is everyone is doing their tax preparation in expectations of a refund. There are many people who know they're not going to get a refund, so they won't file. And I'm here to tell you, with that type of mindset, that will hurt you in the long run. Because anyone know that if you plan on going to buy a house, even there are some government jobs where they will look at and require certain things. And I remember back in New York, I was going for a government job. And the only thing that prevented me from getting this job was my credit. I'll say it again. It depends on the industry you are. If you're an accountant, bookkeeper, or someone that's in the financial industry, you might be going for a job. And they might say, we're looking for a bookkeeper. However, can we run a credit? Can we see how your credit is? Who knows? Have you filed your tax returns? And one of the requirements for me to keep my EFIN number, which is given to me by the IRS, is I have to do what? I have to file my tax returns every year. That is a requirement in order for me to be a tax preparer. And as a tax preparer, I have two things that I have to always have. I have to have what they call a P10, which is paid tax preparer tax identification number, and an EFIN number. This comes from the IRS. In order for me to get an EFIN number, I can't have a criminal background. I can't be convicted of any crime, especially a felony, which I don't have I have no criminal background. I have no felony. My life is, I've lived a okay life where I did things, but it never resulted to me going to jail. Thank God. I have no criminal history. I have no criminal record at all. So this is one of the requirements that the IRS will ask you. The other thing is the IRS will fingerprint me. When I first got my EFIN number years ago, back around 2012, wow. Between 2010 and 2011, I see around 2012 I believe. And what I had to do was I had to get fingerprinted. I had to pass a background check for the IRS. And all my tax returns, in order for me to keep my EFIN number and to continue to prepare tax returns, one of the requirements are you must be up to date on tax returns, or else you will not be able to prepare tax returns. And if you owe, you must go on either an installment plan, which is Form 9465, which is an installment plan. And all these are the requirements to be a tax preparer. And I'm proud today that I have both. A P10 prepares tax identification number, and I have an EFIN number that allows me to e-file federal, state, even local tax returns, but mainly the federal and the state returns. So when someone comes to me, they can go on the IRS and see that I am an authorized e-filer. So what I'm getting at here is that a tax strategist is a person who's a tax professional, which means they're giving you strategies on, one, how many of you heard of a life insurance retirement plan? Or a self-direct IRA? Or a solo or self-direct 401k? Or a health savings account? Or a health reimbursement account? Or a medical savings account? What about a Roth IRA? What about a traditional Roth IRA? What about a backdoor IRA? What about a backdoor Roth IRA? What about a custodial Roth IRA? What about an education savings account? What about a 529 educational account? I can go on. What about a regular 401k? What about a 403b? So there are many different IRA account. What does the word IRA mean? Individual retirement account. What does the word IRA mean? IRA is an acronym for individual retirement account. They have life insurance retirement plan, LIRP, life insurance retirement plans. A lot of you didn't know that. So these are the things that can do what? We know that a regular 401k on your job, which is called pre-tax dollars. So you're not paying taxes for the money going in, you're paying taxes on the money coming out when you retire and withdraw it. If you don't touch it before 59 years old, you don't pay taxes on the money that's going into the 401k. Again, it's called pre-tax. So on a 401k at your job, you're not paying taxes on the money that you putting into your 401k. However, anytime that you withdraw from it, which is premature withdrawal, let's say, for example, you took money out because you're in credit card debt. So you decide to reach into your 401k and you're going to borrow against the 401k because you have to pay that money back. Right? So you're not taxed on the money that you put into your 401k. That's why they call it pre-tax. That's money that's being put into your 401k, which you're not paying taxes on it now. However, when you withdraw from the 401k is when you pay taxes. And I'm going to give you a little tip. Let's say, for example, you work at your job and you made $50,000. That's just called earned income, right? However, for some reason, you are in credit card debt and you're in a lot of debt. So your only alternative is, one, you can't get a loan from the banks or the credit unions. You can't get any money from any families or friends. So the only alternative is a couple of things. So you say, you know what? I'm going to go into my 401k, which is administered by my job. And you have $20,000 in there, but you decide to take out 15. But your gross salary that you make at your job is 50,000. So now, guess what? Your yearly income from your job, which was $50,000, plus the 15,000 that you took from your 401k, that added on, and your income for the year will be 75,000. Then there's a penalty for early withdrawal on your retirement plan. So now your income is going to be 75,000. Why? Because you withdraw money out from your IRA prematurely. That means before you turn 59 years old, they call it 3/4. Right? So, as I mentioned, you are not taxed on the money that you put into the 401k at the job, but you're going to be taxed on the money when you withdraw it. So now, as I mentioned, you make $50,000 a year, and then you took out $15,000 from your 401k, add that on. Now that is going to be 15 and 50 is $65,000 for the year, right? So the reason why I mention that is The importance of a tax strategist, meaning that I will sit down with you and we will go over everything from your W-2 job, from being self-employed, and come up with a strategy on how you can plan on doing some tax savings. What's a tax savings? An IRA, individual retirement account. We can look into tax savings, how to defer paying taxes legally by an IRA and the type of IRA accounts, having a health savings account that comes from your job. That money itself is tax-free income. Why? Because the reason why you have a health savings account is what? If you have a high deductible health plan, your job will give you a health savings account. So the health savings account is what? Tax-free. You don't pay taxes on the money that's put into the health savings account. And the money that you draw out is tax-free as long as you're paying for medical expenses. Just like if you own a business, you want to get what they call either a health savings account or a health reimbursement account, which allows you to write off medical expenses. There's another one called a medical savings account. These are tax-free money, and as long as tax-free money going in and tax-free money going out, as long as it's for medical expenses. So a tax strategist is going to come up with ways to help you strategize on tax savings, tax credits, and reducing your taxes and increasing your money. Again, to reduce your taxes legally by the IRS tax codes and tax laws. If anyone tell you that they can have where you don't pay taxes, you need to really seriously question that person, question their credentials, why they saying this. So that's why I came out and said that when you have a strategy, you have a plan. Many lack strategy and planning in their life. When I talk about wealth planning is a mindset first and foremost. And the second step is becoming wealthy is being able to put yourself first. Put yourself first. Many of you have a problem putting yourself first. That's why you always end up last. That's why I said the first should be last and the last should be first. But many of you put yourself last and you never become first. And you never get out, you never get out what you put in. And a lot of you are investing into the wrong people, expecting a return on your investment. What is your investment? When you invest your time into a person, your resources into a person, your money into a person, your emotions into a person. So the people that you're giving to, they're like a human ATM. They have access to what? Money, access to material things that you might have with your resources. So they're like an ATM. You're always depositing. But when you go to check the balance, there's nothing in there. Again, the people that you have in your life, how are they a liability or are they an asset? Do they bring and pour into you, or they're a liability where you're always giving to them? So that's why I say a tax strategy allows me and many other tax professionals to come up with a strategy that will help you, because many people, when it comes to taxes, they either don't care about it, they're not interested in learning. And when you're not interested in learning something, you will become a victim of the very thing that you're trying to run from or avoid. That's what the Lord said, Hosea 4:6. That's a deep scripture. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And those that have a lack of knowledge will not pursue information. Why? Because they reject. A lot of you reject the knowledge when it comes to learning and investing in yourself. You can't tell someone to invest in something and you haven't invested in yourself. You're going to pay taxes while you're living, and if you're wealthy, while you're dead. Michael Jackson is still paying taxes, which is called estate taxes. Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, any wealthy person who has an estate and they leave it behind for others to inherit, there's something called an estate tax. Why? Because Michael Jackson is still earning money even though he's been dead over 13 years. He's been dead since 2009. His name generates revenue. So if he generates revenue, what do you think he has to pay? His estate has to pay taxes on it. So it's important that life is a classroom. We all must pay tuition. So remember, there's nothing in life that's free. You have to sacrifice. You have to be willing to pay for it. A lot of you are not willing to put out the money. A lot of you are cheap when it comes to yourself, but yet you spend on others and you deprive yourself. When you deprive yourself, then you're always going to come up short. Life is going to deal you a hand that you're not ready to deal with. See, circumstances teach you a lot about people. And life will reveal the people around us, no matter what. But there's some of you that walk blindly. You trust everybody and anyone. You don't trust yourself. And a true test, if I want to take a test, think about this. You say, well, I don't want to talk to a stranger in the street. Well, a lot of you come on Facebook requesting friend requests to people that you don't even know. There are people that you will tell your life to on Facebook whom you never met, and you will never meet them if you don't pursue that than your own family or friends. Because you feel more comfortable talking to a stranger. You know why? Because they don't judge you. They don't know you. That's why you feel comfortable. The people around you are always going to judge you and put you in a certain pocket. And that's something that you try to fight hard to change the people's thoughts around you. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. They're going to have their judgment on you. Some of it's going to be a life sentence on you. Why do you care? You should be moving and striving to be successful and prosperous in life. Everybody ain't going to like you. Everybody ain't your friend. That's why I like that parable when Jesus had the Last Supper. And to me, that supper means you never know who you breaking bread with at your table. Again, you never know who you breaking bread with at your table. Because your enemy and your friends and your family sit at the same table with you. They eat with you. They drink with you. Yet, they come in unaware. Some come in by disguise. Everybody come eat at your table. Why? Because that's how life is. But then there's some of us that learn to understand and have a wake-up call and understand that life itself is a lesson. And we study the lesson so that we don't become the lesson. So I say peace and love to everyone. And I will be talking about tax strategies. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. Leave a message with me on Facebook / Facebook.com/Smith Bookkeeping Financial Services is on Facebook. If you have any questions, instant message me, and I'll be glad to talk to you and answer your questions. Everyone have a good night.